A community brimming with creativity and passion, a platform where every word is a brushstroke on the canvas of imagination. The Bahrain Writers Circle on the Story Loom from 973 show. And today with me are the 6 governing members of the Writers Circle to take us through their story. Welcome to the podcast. The woman at the helm of Writers Circle, SAIRA RANJ. Tell us about the beginnings of Writers Circle.
On a dark and stormy night.
Okay.
Well, actually, in the year 2011, in February, an ad was placed by Robin Barat inviting people who'd like to come in and actually write a meeting of similar minds. And suddenly, you had quite a few people registering, and that's how it started. Robin Barat is somebody who has been in the writing world for a very, very long time, and he's very, very active even today. So we've officially finished our 10 years, and we are on the 13th year now, literally. And it's grown.
Great. I remember Robin as well.
Oh,
Robin, if you're watching us, hi from all of us. And he's been very active and continues to inspire people, isn't it?
Yes.
Even after leaving, very thoughtful. And after Robin, it was Rohini.
yes, that's right.
We have to
Yeah, absolutely.
mention Rohini at this point.
That's right. So, in fact, Glenn and Melissa, these are people who've been around. I have actually taken over I joined in 2019 and took over the helm in 2020.
Okay, and the thick
Yeah.
of the pandemic, right?
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Okay.
That's when Rohini, I stepped into her shoes as she decided to step down.
I think I'll move to you, Melis and Nazareth, who has made a mark of your own in the literary field in Bahrain, the editor of the Fact magazine, and of course, you're the co-director for the Writers Circle. Tell us a little more as to how do you think the journey of this Writers Circle has been, and of course, alongside Rohini Sundaram, someone whom we cannot forget. Wherever you are, Rohini, we miss you.
I think my fellow team members would agree, like she's the godmother of the writer circle, so to speak. And it's been really nice. Personally, my journey has been great. It's just a platform where I've met other people who love to write, and I've learned so much from their experiences. And as a platform, as a community of writers, for writers, by writers, we not only learn from each other, but we have so much in terms of guest speakers who come and share their journey with us, accomplished people from authors to poets and publishers. We have monthly workshops and annual events, and we have tie-ups with publications for writing opportunities and competitions. And I would like to again bring back our founding member, Mr. Robin Barat, who is a publisher and writer himself.
Yes.
And he has come up, released so many anthologies on different topics, friendship and Bahrain itself.
Yes.
And as members of the Writers Circle, we get the first preference to kind of contribute to these. So yeah, I think not just for me, but for everyone here, Writers Circle has been an amazing journey.
I take this opportunity to thank Robin because he gave me my first break. I've contributed to his anthologies too. Such an inspirational person. Let me move to you, Parvinder. Well, a poet, a sustainable development enthusiast. Poetry is something very delicate, and I love poetry as a genre, and I love poets. So obviously you're someone special, and you would be able to tell us about the different genres that Bahrain Writers Circle cater to. How do you look at those elements coming together?
We have a diversity of writers in the circle. We discuss during the meetings different themes, different forms and formats of poetry, and that forces people to contribute to different formats. So we talk from ghazals to sonnets to themes of love and longing, and it's just a whole variety. All of this can be summed up during our annual poetry festival, we recently had the 13th Colors of Life. The brochure will be on the website soon. So all audience interested can check it out and really get a glimpse of how diverse the poetry scene is in the Writers' Circle.
And you had the second circle, right? Can you explain what
Yes.
second circle is also, please?
So Second Circle was started by David Hollywood, again, one of our initial members. And in Second Circle, it's generally poets who don't necessarily want to give themselves a title of writers. What they do is they come together and they have poetry that they've written recently. We all discuss it. We give each other feedback, how to improve, and talk about different things such as rhyme and meter and all the different poetry things.
We move now to our very dear NOOR, NOOR ALNOAIMI, the true blue Bahraini on the Bahrain Writers Circle platform. And I have learned that you took so much of effort and you were persistent to find this platform and joined. Tell me from your observation, how do you think the Writers Circle is contributing to Bahrain's milieu?
I think judging by Bahrain's landscape, it was always a bilingual landscape. If you take on literary workshops and literary communities, they're very scarce here. I mean, I work as a librarian in a school, and our younger generation are very much hungry to be involved in a more artistic venue, and sometimes that's not really, accessible to anyone who, let's say, can't really afford much to go outside or to travel abroad. And I think the BWC has always offered a very accessible climate to everyone here who speaks the language, wants to write, wants to find a community of writers, and just come together. And that was the reason why I joined in the first place. So it is a community, really. And I think that's always a rich atmosphere for everyone.
And it was so refreshing to hear when you spoke about the younger generation's enthusiasm,
Yes.
And that's what we need, I think, in today's world. Books need to be out there. Children should get a feel of the book.
Absolutely.
And how is the life of a librarian?
It's you'd think it's quiet. It's not.
Yeah, I don't think it's quiet. Have you read The Battle of the Books?
Oh my gosh, it's incredible because I have I've grown up in a very, let's say, influenced with a lot of English in my own pursuits. But, growing up now, I find my younger generation of students who are 14 and 15 and introducing me to Najib Mahfouz and other, Arabic literaries. And it's just like, opening a new window for me. So it's just amazing to see all these students. It's, I learn so much from them every day.
Great. And it's equally amazing to have a very young member on board, representing the Generation Z, perhaps, KAUR RANJ. You're also the co-director for the workshops, isn't it?
Yes.
I guess you're fairly new, a member?
Yes, I've been a member for about 2 years now.
2 years?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about your journey with the Writers' Circle.
So I always knew I wanted to join as soon as, my mother told me about it. And I found out that there is a community here because I did land up in Bahrain right after graduating in India. And I was at the peak of performing when the pandemic hit. Right, so finding that community became really important, expanding on it and kind of sharing the things that we all do together, right, as writers. We create, we lie, we steal, we do all of these things, but we do it on paper and we do it in a way that it's like very creative and very exciting and fresh. So that's what my journey has been like. I've had countless meetings with Parvinder and she's helped me kind of hone my poetry. Noor and I have worked together for the Creative Writers Workshop, so we've really had to learn different kind of skill sets even within writing.
Great. So you're very happy. It's very obvious.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
And among all of us happy women, we have one happier man out there waiting for the opportunity. And Glenn, I came to you last simply because you're special, trust me.
Really?
Yes, I mean it. Glenn from the UK. And you've been part of the Writers Circle for quite a while now.
Since 2015, I actually, late 2014, I came to listen to somebody talk about selling books because I was just about to self-publish my first novel, and I never left. And I don't do groups very well, but this is one of the best groups I have ever been in. It's a family, and it just feels warm to be in a group that is non-judgmental. We critique, we don't criticize. And I think that is important. So critiquing, you're saying what could be improved, but also what is very good. Whereas criticizing, you're just telling everybody what's bad and you're no good at this. And we don't do that. And because we've got such a diverse group, and poets and writers and different nationalities, different backgrounds, it's really nice to have that all encompassed in one group, because we get somebody else's perspective on what we're writing. And I think that's quite important.
Yeah, and Glenn, of course, you come from a country that is known for its literary depth and width and vastness, isn't it? How do you look at Bahrain in terms of, I would not want you to compare though, but how do you look at the Bahrain scenario?
The one thing that was a surprise to me about Bahrain, because I didn't know much about it before I came here, was the culture and the incredible wealth of culture, which is something I was not expecting. And there is such a strong culture here of its own background, its own inheritance, and that comes across, I think, I mean, obviously I can't read Arabic, but I would love to read some Arabic stories, because I think that the writing here, from what I've heard and what I've seen in English, is very, very strong. And I think it's got a lot to show the world.
Let me come to a bit deeper into Writers Circle and its activities. Like, I've always seen the calendar, which is always full and rich, your social media posts and everything. So you're very active. But would anyone be able to give it to me in a nutshell as to what are the calendared events and what are the other things that you tailor? Who would like to?
So what we do every month, we have 3 meetings. So the first meeting is the second Monday of the month, which basically is called the business of writing. And what essentially happens is networking with individuals all over the world. During COVID, we ended up going online, and not just in Bahrain, we ended up talking to people from all over the world, and we've kept that format for now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because the first meeting is business of networking, and we meet people from, be it Canada, from UK, from Dubai, from India. So that's the first one. Second one is the second circle, which is the second Wednesday of the month, hosted by Parvinder as of right now. And it's called, the second circle meet. We discuss poetry. So everybody who's a keen poet or who'd like to engage in poetry is present in that. And then finally, the third meeting for the month is the Creative Writers Workshop. It was being hosted by Glenn for the last 2 years, and now he's handed it over to these two,
Noor
to
and
Noor
KAAV.
and KAAV.
Okay.
Yes. So the Creative Writers Workshop, as is the name, dwells into the creativity and writing. You're given
That's
prompts.
only for members?
Yes.
It's for members.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
And how does one become a member of the Writers Club?
okay. So we have a bustling website, okay, and we promote everything through our Instagram as well.
Yeah.
And so you just write in on the website. There is a link. You write into us, and immediately you get a response. And you have it's a non-profit organization, so we're priced at just 10 BD for the whole year, and you're on board.
Welcome to Sri Sokya Ayurvedic Center, where ancient healing meets modern wellness. Located in the heart of Mahuz, our center offers a wide range of authentic Ayurvedic treatments. Our team of experts is dedicated to providing you with the highest quality care using only the best natural and organic products.
we're talking of a platform, as I mentioned before, where books are becoming e-books, taking into all electronic, isn't it? How do you, as writers, how do you feel about this whole idea of the electronic wave taking over the literary scenario? Do you think we need more books?
I think the books are not going to die out for a long time because actually people are going back to books away from the electronics. But if we need to engage with the younger generation, I think we need both. Because they're used to seeing something on a phone. They're used to that format. But they do actually like books, as Noor will know, that they like to hold something in their hand. And I gave a talk at the Canadian school just recently to years 7, 8, 9, I think it was. And they were absolutely fantastic about wanting to write. So many of them did want to write. So many of them were so interested in what I was telling them about writing, even though I tried to frighten them a little bit away from it, but, because it will dominate your life once you start writing. And I think that the biggest problem we're going to face is AI, because publishers are going to look at this aspect of paying an author to write a story or switching on a computer to write a story, paying an illustrator to do the cover, getting an AI to do the cover. And I think that is our biggest problem. And I did present, in one of the talks I did with the Writers Circle, I did present some figures about ebooks and how they had actually gone down slightly during the pandemic, strangely enough. More people wanted a book in their hands.
Wanted to read one book. And yes, you touched on the very crucial topic of AI. AI is here and it's here to stay. That's a reality. We have to accept it. But how do you think that challenge would be? I agree with you, Glenn, that ebooks are slowly getting away and we're back to books, yes, but AI is here to stay. How do you look at that challenge? Anyone would like to take on that? Melissa, yes, you also contribute to a leading magazine in the country, isn't it?
In fact, I wanted to, from that magazine experience, answer your question. So we have contributors every now and then, and sometimes we ask them to do different things, say car reviews, and we see that there's a template that's being followed. So every month you have the same template with different information, and that's not what we want even as editors. So imagine as readers. So AI might be here to stay, but I think there will be a saturation point somewhere, and people will want something fresh, something creative, which can only come from a personal touch, a human touch.
Yes.
And slightly going back to, holding a newspaper, like you said, I mean, we have to hold a newspaper. Imagine swatting a fly with an iPad. No. So yeah, that is my view on that.
Right, yeah. Would you like to comment, Noor?
I think I'd like to second what Glenn has just mentioned. I worked, with middle schoolers who think they own the world now, And I worked with them during COVID, and we used to have an e-library, and I can tell you that has not been I believe my statistics were at 6.2%. So they didn't really access that much. So once school came back on, and suddenly I found our library doors flooded with students, and they were in the aisles looking for these old volumes. And most, it's a government school, so all our books are very much, well handed down.
Okay.
So they were like, "Can I have this?" And I was like, "Sure, just fill out your library card and we can get this out." And sometimes I have students steal books.
Okay.
So they love books, and I always think, I go dark, as I've mentioned to Glenn just now, and I always think maybe it's just our generation, maybe it's just us, maybe we're the last ones that we'd appreciate this, but I don't think that is the case. I think it's going to be here for a long time. Right. And to touch upon the AI situation, that is something I would really like to just ignore for now. But it's staying, I think.
I think I agree with Melissa, because at the end of the day, a fresh piece can be identified, isn't it, than from a routine pattern. And what is your take, Kavya, that we are in? What do you think of AI?
I think as of now it is quite formulaic, as of now, it's easy to catch, right? You can tell when something is artificially generated versus a writer who's put years into their craft. But as far as we know, it's just going to get better with time. But I do feel like the mass of kind of media that will come out of this, right, will give human labor added value. So things that we do actually create, I think, maybe priced higher, maybe a premium product. I don't know. It's horrible to think of things like that because, you want books to be accessible. You want books to be for a community, to uphold people, to be real. But this is what I'm thinking. It looks like something that, people can collect because they're like, oh, I knew this writer once. I knew this poet once and she made this book. This isn't from a computer. It's not from an algorithm. It's special. It's curated. It's original. There won't be anything like this, right? So that's like the most optimistic view I can take on this.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And as you rightly put it, people might, from a commercial point of view, they might think like, why to hire a person to write when you have it ready? But I'll move to you, Parvinder. Poetry being so beautiful, do you think an AI can do that bit? What is your opinion?
AI can try.
I like it.
AI can try.
Yeah.
But poets have a very unique touch to everything they produce. No matter, even if we talk about Insta poetry, people have diverse views about it, but we have a lot of advocates that come out of reading such work. And when we go back to the classical formats or anything that's, in trend, a poet, whatever they write, whatever they say, however they perform, it's always going to be a unique experience between the poet, the poem, and the listener. And that's not something an AI can just step into and take away.
I agree with you. And not just poetry. I think every bit of writing will have its unique beauty when it is done by someone, as she said, once upon a time there was kind of feeling. Let me come to the challenges of the Writers Circle. You run on a 10 dinars annual membership fee, but you cater a lot. How do you manage this?
We cater to 2 events annually. So far, we have Confluence and Colors of Life that Parvinder talked about. And at the end of the day, we are at the moment around 40 members. We tend to get together, we tend to make it happen. Everybody does their bit and things happen. And I've never seen that we've had any challenges monetarily.
I think one of our biggest challenges is getting people to know we are here.
The reach, yeah.
Yeah. We need to be out in the community a bit more. It's something that I've tried to push, but it's difficult because you've got to find somewhere to do that and then engage with the public. We did one event with Internations, which went down very well. It was Come Meet the Authors, which was quite a good event. And I think we need to be doing more of that. And we need to be more in the face of the public in some way.
Okay.
There are some ideas in the pipeline for that. But we need a push to get there. Yeah.
How is the reach of Bahrain Writers Circle in the Bahraini community, Noor? How do you look at it?
I think writing is a solitary thing. Writers are here. They've always been here. I believe that it takes a lot of guts to proclaim yourself as a writer and come out to the world and say, I'm going to join this writers group and I am a writer. And I used to be a very shy member of the writers group, and Bahrain is a very shy community. Me as a Bahraini can vouch for that. We're very shy and we don't want to, be, pointed at and say, oh, that's the writer. We don't like that, I think, as opposed to my international colleagues here. It's, they come from very proud countries that they have a lot of saturated creative markets, and I think that isn't the case in Bahrain. Proclaiming yourself as a writer is, as something as not a hobby, as something as a passion and a way of life is very hard to come out as. And I think that is the main challenge here in the Bahraini market.
How do you think we can tap into that aspect, which Noor just mentioned? Maybe shy, but still we have Noor here, who was once shy, not anymore.
Took me years to get here.
No, I think we have a very healthy mix of local and expat members. And yeah, we do try and bring guest speakers who are from the local community to kind of give a different perspective and a local perspective, and in a way, yes, attract Bahrainis as well. In fact, we've been working closely with the students in Bahrain, the university and things. And we've had a lot of interest from Bahraini students. And we've recently, just before this podcast, we've had many Bahraini students who are interested in writing join the Bahrain Writers Circle. And I think though we are a community that's mixed, and Bahrain itself is a community that's mixed, to have a strong local root also is very, very important. That's my personal opinion as well.
How young can a person become a member?
If you can write, you're a member.
Yeah.
There's no
That's
age.
the only rule. Yeah.
Okay. How old is your youngest member?
I think it would be Veda. Yeah. 19.
19.
Along with the writing aspect, there is also the 2 events that we do in a year. So that brings in, like Noor was talking about the shy writers who are quietly doing their, catering to their craft. And then you have the performance poetry people, you know.
Yeah.
So that is, another,
the
yes.
range.
Yes. And today's world is, you need the marketing everywhere, right? So we are catering to all of this in the communities that we're dealing with. The challenge that we face is to keep the writer engaged in terms of writing. Be an active writer. We don't want you to just be there when there is an event, but we'd like you to, come in there and, put your pen to paper and hone your craft.
Other than events, how do you think this motivation can be kept?
So, as Noor mentioned, writing is quite solitary, and identifying as a writer can be the first big hurdle, right? So, I think kind of making sure that you are regular with your craft, even if it's by yourself, you have to be able to surround yourself with writers, right? So, even if all of us are really shy and all of us want to do our craft by ourselves, the fact that other writers exist and we share ideas and we share maybe things we've seen online. Technology really helps these days. You just surround yourself with the kind of role models that you want to be around more often, and that really helps you kind of stay with that momentum. And the momentum is everything, whether you're performing or you're just writing on paper or, either of those options.
Right. Before we close, I would love to hear from each of you. What is the best thing that you like about this group?
When I moved here, it was the pandemic, and I had not known anybody in Bahrain. I was just quarantined at home. So being able to access a community just because, I like to do something like write stories has been really uplifting. It's given me this huge network, this community of people that I can relate to.
I think it's bringing people of passion together. I think in our everyday life, we kind of lose focus and tend to just go on our ways, and, you fall into a routine. But then, once a month, like Kavya mentioned, you see them all and they're so passionate, they're keeping at it. And it's just so, it just keeps you going.
Right, great.
Yeah.
Melissa.
We're a very non-judgmental community of people. So just a moment ago, I said, if you can write, you can be a member. No, if you want to write, you can be a member. And like Glenn said, it's critiquing, it's all healthy, feedback, and we offer that in plenty.
We're not just a group of writers, we're a group of friends as well. And there's going to be friendship that carries on when we've left the Writers' Circle or when we leave the country. And I think that's quite important. It's not just about writing, it's a community. I think it's an excellent community.
I joined when I was 16 and I hadn't written anything other than a couple of verses behind classworks and stuff like that. And just being around people who showed up and sat down and wrote something made me want to continue at it. And the work I produce now compared to what I did earlier just makes me very happy and makes me very proud. As writers, it's very important for us to be able to write every day and be able to read every day. But we often get busy with our lives and forget about it. Don't prioritize it. So, like Kavya said, 3 days a month at least, I know I will be doing that and I will be preparing for that. And now that we have this online format, it's so convenient. You just turn on your laptop or your device and you're sitting there with beautiful writers with beautiful thoughts and you just sit and write. It's wonderful.
17 or 16 to 74. I have friends that range from, that to that. And it's all because of this group, because here it's vertical aging, but nobody thinks twice. You're all expressing yourself and you bond. You just bond, like everybody just mentioned. So, and initially, before the online happened, online happened only because it was a necessity. It was COVID and we never saw that coming. But today, all our members who've gone to different places still connect. It's the people that has actually made such a difference to our writing.
Right. And Sarah, maybe one last question to you. What does 2024 hold for Bahrain Writers Circle?
Okay. We have an ambitious project that we are working towards. It's called Living Words. And the idea is not, so we have the colors of life, which is about poetry. We have confluence, which is art and writing. Now we want to bring in the dancers, the music, all of that, but based on the words. So the words come to life. That's why Living Words. So we are working towards that project and hopefully 2024 should see that come to life.
All the very best. That's such a beautiful thought and a very beautiful bit of information. Thank you for breaking it to us. All the support always to this vibrant team. Is there anything that anyone would like to add before we close the show?
There is something I want to touch on with Noor saying that it takes a lot to come out as a writer. And I think every writer has imposter syndrome. And I want to tell you a little story about Neil Gaiman, the writer. He was at an event where they were presenting people who had achieved things in their lifetime. And he was talking to somebody else that was called Neil. And this other Neil said, I don't even know why I'm here. I just went where I was told and did what I was told to do. That person was Neil Armstrong.
Okay.
So he had imposter syndrome too.
Yeah. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Team Writers Circle, for joining us this evening on the 973. It was really interesting. From the weaving of intricate narratives to exploring untold stories with writers adding unique touch, their views and perspective, Bahrain Writers Circle is indeed flourishing, leaving a lasting impact on the literary landscape of the country. All the very best to the team and the upcoming projects. This is Raji Unnikrishnan signing off from the Story Loom for 973 show. Good day.